Ray Ives, pen of an underdog. Thanks for joining. So here we are. Things are heating up, and it's going from bad to worse fast. Part 6. Now we're in the subchapter, managing the disgruntled. I was on my speedboat of success, and I was all of a sudden like on this like collision course, bad intentions. I was excited. I wanted to learn. I wanted to do things. And all of a sudden it was like looking into the future. Things aren't looking up. Things aren't looking up. I'm starting to see conflict. I'm starting to see change in executive management. And the person that reported to me, who for the record was my friend prior to this, she referred me. She was my referral. Now, what happened in that was very interesting because I was hired and then became her boss. Now, she had her eyes on retirement, and she just was really disgruntled at this point because of her experience there. It was just she's been grinded down, and she became a gossiper. And her gossip was like spreading vinegar on grass, like a small little spritzing bottle. And she would always like be refilling and just damaging, causing little damage that was adding up. She had this effect where she was charming, comedy-like, but she was starting to erode morale. And here I am trying to be a change agent, trying to do what's right. And she was expressing frustration that I was now her boss. Why is he my boss? And really the reason is our shared boss really didn't like working with her. She was complicated. She was confrontational. She just didn't care. Personally, liked her. We had good conversations. This is the psychology of leadership. Not everybody is going to be the same. The assumption is like you come in and everybody's going to have this work ethic and be happy and be proud of the company and want to do what's right. That just wasn't the experience. And that was Anne. Anne reported directly to me. And then she had a counterpart. She had a counterpart that I'll get to. But I remember Anne always said, oh, you don't like me. And you don't like me. You don't like me. Amor doesn't like me. Nobody likes me. And I would sit back and I would have these like real legitimate conversations and say, Anne, off the record, like you and I were friends before I started working here. I liked you before this role even existed, and you helped me get this job. Like, how could you say I don't like you? But it was just a form. It was like black magic. It was used to continue negativity, to continue to gossip and create the gossip ring. And it was just, it was all beginning to be too much. And then she had a counterpart, Story. Her name was Story. Again, same thing. She's been there a long time. She was a brand advocate. And she just really lost her dignity. The corporation just really, she couldn't even fake it anymore. She would fake it in front of clients, but outside of that, it was gossip. Things would start out. Not for nothing, but did you hear? Not for nothing, but did you hear? Or I wasn't supposed to say anything. What? Or don't tell anyone I told you. And it was like, what are we doing here? What? Was this real life? Was I like in a warp zone? What had happened? Like my Chicago office, this great career trajectory, and all of a sudden I was managing the disgruntled. Now, on top of that, and this was like a storm. So I was already on damage control. The gossip ring was expanding, and our customers were very unhappy with us. And it was like this perfect storm of things that were going bad. We were shorting customers, meaning customers would order, say, 3,000 cases, and we would only have 200 cases of a product. We started having quality issues. They were ordering products. They were out of spec. Specifically, there's these cookies. They would bake them and they would expand. They were say they were supposed to be 4 inches. They would expand to 7 inches, they wouldn't be able to be used. By one of our top customers, a mandated stop distribution. Then from our side, we had a SKU rationalization. A SKU rationalization was basically going to our customers and saying, you can no longer, although you've been purchasing these products for 10, 15 years, you can no longer purchase a certain amount of these products. We're getting rid of them. We're no longer making them. So here we are. We're shipping less than they're ordering. We have quality issues. We're taking items away. And one more, and there was one more, and this was all happening among the gossipers, right? So they would take this information, spin it, and the last piece of that was we were raising our prices. We're doing a cost increase. Any one of these items is pretty dramatic to manage through a sales team, to manage through customers, brokers, wholesalers, distributors, to manage through that. It's from store level to end user, all the way back to the corporate office. It was just, it was really, really tough. And so besides that, my boss was leaving. He really didn't care. And I'm going to be stuck here trying to change things. Nobody cared. It was a tough place to be in. Rat Race was a private label supplier. And being a private label supplier, you had to adhere to stringent food safety requirements, third-party audits, handling, shipping, stringent guidelines. And going back to these cookies that were having issues, the company, without telling anyone or without anyone caring, changed the plant 3 times. The cookies are being made in Pelican Bay, California. Then it was shut down because it wasn't achieving operational metrics. The second plant was in Texas, Plano, Texas. It was short-lived there. The third plant then was in Charleston, South Carolina. And so cookies moved from California to Texas to Charleston. And then they couldn't handle the volume there, so they had to split it to another plant in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Now, they never told the customer that the plant was changing. And so cases were coming in with different labels, different corrugate. And every time the plant changed, it was a violation of the terms of agreement for the private label supplier. So here I had the gossip ring, had quality issues, shorting customers, SKU rationalization, price increase. Our number one customer, we moved facilities. Now, at the same time, something else was happening. The cookies where we moved from facility to facility they were taking on a lot of expenses, a lot of overhead, a lot of transitional costs. And my boss came up to me, who was leaving, by the way, and he's like, look, we're going to change the formula of the cookie. We have to take some of the inclusions out because that's going to decrease cost. So for example, like in cookies, they're going to take out like chocolate chunks and like the M&Ms and some cranberries. And then they were going to add extra flour, sugar, so that it didn't change the appearance too much. And I was like, okay, customer's not going to go for that. They're not going to like it. They're not going to go for it. Like, how are we going to do it? And he basically said, this is where everything became so heavy. And I was stuck with a question of integrity. What do I do? I'm here. I want to go there. I want to maintain my professionalism. I want to maintain my reputation. My boss is coming to me and basically saying, okay, we're going to change the recipe. We're going to change the formula. We're going to take out the ingredients and refill it with less expensive ingredients. And here was the kicker. He's like, we're not going to tell them. He's like, we're just going to do it. We're going to make 5% on this. So here we are. We already changed the facility 3 or 4 times. Now we're going to change the recipe and not tell them. And I was like, this is a bad idea. One, it's unethical. If we go through with this and get caught, we're blacklisted, not only at this customer, not only at this client, but really nationally. And I told him, and I was straightforward. The other thing is, I'm not putting my name on this. I'm not going to be associated with this. I'm not doing it. And he's like, you know what? He's like, it's already been decided. It's happening. Here I was at the crossroads, but I also knew there was a solution. He was leaving. And so the new samples were getting sent in. The test samples were getting sent in, and I would receive that. I'm like, okay, I just need to buy time here. It's the right thing to do. I need to buy time. So I received the samples and would say, like, these samples aren't good enough. Some of them did have like frozen damage. I'm like, you have to send another set. In a big corporation, those things take time. Sample request, gets to the department, line time, all these things had to happen. So I remember my boss would say, oh, what's going on with the change? I'm like, oh, the samples came in, they weren't good enough. New samples are coming in, at this date. And I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. These were the dark ages of my career. It was very difficult. It was challenging managing all this. And here I was thinking my integrity, my reputation on the line. And all I could say is I maintain my integrity and I maintain my reputation. These are the lessons that come up in life. Everything from going back to the naval, the commander in the Navy and not signing up for the Navy, challenging that authority to this point is standing up for what is right, standing up for good, standing up for integrity. And it was a hard decision and it was a lonely decision, but these are the stories that I always wanted to share to say, okay, these things are going to happen. How do you respond? What do you do? And when you put it on the line and you're at that crossroad of decision-making, doing the right thing really pays dividends. So check out the book, The Pen of an Underdog, more to follow. It's on Amazon. Let's stay connected. Subscribe, more to follow. Thank you.